had so many questions related to relationship or married life. Will there be revival of our love? Will the partner come back? And is there any hope or future for our relationship or marriage? So in this video, we'll go through 3 such points. I'm studying under Sri Achyutananda mentor Visti Larsen since more than 20 years. So in this video, we'll be going through the how to see those indicators which will tell us or answer the question about the future or hope for specific relationship. Then we'll be going through the timing, good and bad periods when we can hope for a partner to come back. And in the third point, this is more like observation or my research, when we'll be seeing which Kendras are pro or against their marriage or relationship. And we will be comparing the Kendra and Apoklima. Apoklima is just one house before the Kendra. So let's roll the intro and investigate these important matters. So to determine these points in the chart, first we have to ask what we are really looking for. Because when we are talking about the sustenance of relationship or future of a marriage, we are talking about some kind of project or contract, social one. So also we need to look in the chart for a point which in best way will reflect that perspective of the relationship. As we can suspect, it is much easier to say which period is supporting the relationship or not, but when we talk about the contract being broken, this is a little bit more challenging prediction. So in Vedic astrology, we have different levels to investigate a relationship. We have the 7th Lord, we have a Venus, we have a Titi, Dara, Karaka, and so on. Which of these points will serve us in the most efficient way? So we were already talking about the contract, so maybe you can already know what level it could be. Which one is in the best way showing something we can tangible, we can manifest, and we can see as a category which is restricted. This is the Aruda level. And for marriage, we can use the Dharapada, which is A7, and also the Upapada, which is the Aruda of the 12th house. So this is like a point in the chart which shows a duration. This is the whole package of your relationship or marriage. And therefore, if we talk about the whole package, this is the best point also to investigate about how long it will go or when it can break, and also what conditions does it have to survive. There are also the timing yogas, as I call it. So there are some specific planets in specific places which shows how is the approx duration of the relationship or marriage. And then if we know in which year there may be some testing time or trials, then we can see the Antardasha and see when exactly will be that problem. We can also see the month in the yearly chart. And of course, the Sambandha, the compatibility is also very important, but for that we need the 2 charts and then compare the important points. And that is also quite important to state if the marriage or relationship has a future. So what you need to do, you need to know on which Upapada you are, so on which relationship or marriage. We know that the first Upapada will reflect the first one, then we count the 8 from it to see the second one. And then if you have found that this relationship, this marriage is reflected by that specific Upapada in your chart, then see the 2nd Lord from that and compare the strength in the Rashi and in the Navamsha. If it's weak, if it's badly placed, bad house or weak Avashta, which state, then we say that this relationship may break in the dasha related to that planet. Also, what you can do is to see the 8th house, because if it's strong, if it's benefic one, and if it's friendly to the 7th house, then also this is a very good point to see if that relationship is having a good potential to survive. And for the 2nd or 3rd marriage, again, you have to count the 8 from the 7th, or 8 from the 8 from the 7th for the 3rd one, and then see the 2nd one from that point. That will be our resources, all the needed energy to make this relationship stable. So after we have found the main point in the chart to see the survive rate of the relationship, we can now see the timing, which periods will be supporting relationship and which will be against. And for that, of course, we have to see the 7th house and the 6th. 6 is more for separation, 7 will support the relationship and marriage, and the 8th house will be a divorce. Now, before we investigate there, we need to understand that the Rashi, the main chart, is very important, but all those matters will be much better reflected in the specific chart, Navamsha. So in Vedic astrology, we have like 16 charts. One of them is Navamsha. This one is related to the relationship. And also what is important when we will time using the Graha Dasha like Vimshotri, that there is the main period, which is shown by Mahadasha, and we also have the sub-period, which is the Antardasha. And in these all timings, when we will see how this works in the Charles William chart, because this is a very nice example, they had a break and then they had a renewal. So in this, we can take those planets and derive the abstract theory, and then we can replicate that with our clients, our friends, and our chart too. So in the Prince William's chart, what we have observed is that in Jupiter, Mahadasha, the break has come. And Jupiter is very strong in Navamsha in the 8th house, so will support the sustenance. But in the Jupiter, Mars, there was the break. Now, this is quite surprising because not only in the Rashi, Mars is in the 10th house, which should be good because it's Kendra from the 7th, and in 10th house, the Mars has Digbala, the directional strength, so it's very nicely placed. But also in the Navamsha, Mars is the 7th lord in the Lagna, so it should be good. But this is the lesson for us, that we should not isolate the Antardasha from the Mahadasha. And the best way to unify these two is using the Anubava principle. So we are counting from the Mahadasha to the Antardasha, and from the Antardasha we count the same distance without the Aruda exceptions, and this will show us what is the experience of that specific Antardasha in that Mahadasha. This is a very nice principle because by this you can differentiate between the various Antardashas in many Mahadashas, because that distance will be different. So we know that in Jupiter Mars it was break. In Jupiter Rahu, this is also quite surprising. Rahu is 5th lord, 10th lord in the 12th. They came back, the love was revived, right? So we can see from the Jupiter to the Mars, we have 6. Now the Anubava, if we count it, will come also to the 6th. And then the Venus will be in the house with Aruda of 6th house. So we have like 6, 6, 6. This is supporting the break. There will be some testing trials. There is too much of 6th house to build some smooth transitions. So we have to predict here that yes, in this time there will be separation, but in Jupiter, Rahu, they came together again. So if we count from Jupiter to Rahu, it will come to Leo. And the Lord of Leo is in the 7th house. So we can appreciate here how the Anubava principle, counting from the Mahadasha to the Antardasha and then counting the same distance, have totally make everything clear. And you can use that also in your chart if you count from the Mahadasha to the Antardasha in the Rashi and in the Navamsha, and you may see what is the experience and which house it will support. Will that be a house which is pro-marriage or against marriage? So we will go to that soon, but before that, just a small reminder, if you'd like to know how the marriage or relationship look in your chart, if you'd like to know in which period you are, is it pro or against, and when you can suspect some partner coming back or things like that, then please consider taking the consultation, 60 or 90 minutes on the Zoom. The link is in the description. So now we are going to the houses, and they are divided into the Kendra and the Apoklima for our observation here, right? So they will take like 66% of the chart because we have 12 houses. Kendra is 4, Apoklima is 4. So there is a very high chance that you are either of these houses when we see the Antardasha or the Anubava. Our first guess would be that Kendra are good for relationship or marriage, right? Let's compare them to the Apoklima. We can start with the easiest one, with the 6th and 7th. This is we are here, there is no ambiguity, it's very clear. 6th is the celibacy house, and the 7 is promoting being together, being in a relationship. So that is quite clear. The 4th house and the 3rd house is also very clear because the 4th house is staying with the family in the house together. The 3rd is you are somewhere else. There are some issues related to maybe mental problems, or you are fighting for something. There are some challenges, things like that. Now with the 9th and 12th, the things are getting a bit different. And the inspiration for this insight was that we have observed that in Prince William's chart, the Mars in the 10th was not promoting the relationship because it caused the break. And if we want to find why it happened, we have two things here. First is that it is with the Saturn, the 3rd lord, right? So Mars will take Saturn down because it's the Nicha, the debilitation sign for Saturn. And Saturn is the 3rd lord of also engagement. And the 9th house is also related to these mothers of commitment. So this is very important before the marriage. And that break, that we could say testing time or trials, was in that time before the marriage. The second thing is that Mars hates everything which is in 12 from its placement. So we have seen, if Mars is in 10, the dasha comes, everything related to the ninth house will really suffer. The father, specialization, the fortune, studies, all those matters are going through some turbulence at that time. And here we can see that because ninth is so much important for the relationship, for the marriage, that if Mars is in the 10th and the dasha is going on, it may not be the best for the marriage. Now we can observe the similar trait in the 12th and 1st. And here we can go from the perspective of the sign and the planet which is naturally exalted in that sign. This will tell us a lot about the energy of the house. For example, the 12th is the Pisces. What planet exalts in Pisces? This is Venus. First is natural Aries. Which planet exalts in Aries? This is the Sun. So 12 has a lot to do with the Venusian energy, which is also giving you a revival and the revitalization, the therapy, the sleep, all that matters. Venus wants to heal you. In the first house, we have this Atmagyana. You are working on yourself. We have also observed many times when the Lagna, when the first house starts to rise, your relationship may break because you are too much focused on yourself. The giving period is over because the giving is the 12th house. So these houses, 12th and 1st, especially if they are in inimical strategical position, there are some inimical planets, there is no bridge between them and things like that, then the first house may end your relationship, especially in that phase before the marriage, because in that time, the 12th house is especially important. So 12th is promoting the marriage, 9th is promoting the marriage. So naturally, the consequence will be that 10th and 1st house may be against the marriage, right? There are a lot of memes or jokes how the guys after the break are going to the gym and they are starting the new skills, new things. They are going to the therapy and things like that. This is all the first house getting activated after the 12th house has ended. We are focused on ourselves. We want to make some kind of self-verification. We are going through that self inside and things like that. So the first house then becomes very active, especially in times when that first house has ended the, we could call it engagement time or the dating, right? Because that would be more appropriate for that stage of relationship. All right, so to recap again, we have the Apoklima and the Kendra. 3rd and 6th are the Apoklimas, and the natural Bhava Karaka for them is the Mars. So they are kind of against the marriage. 9th and 12th will be promoting the relationship, promoting the marriage. And for the Kendra, we have the similar story. The 4th and 7th are definitely pro-marriage, and 10 and 1st may promote that self-development, career life, and focus on oneself, which may not always be good for your relationship. But we have to remember that the Rashi will give the initial energy to be sure what is happening, what will be the consequence of that itching, karmic itching from the Rashi chart. We need to confirm with the Navamsha. But there are a few more theory blocks which will make this more complete. If you would like to learn them, then please consider watching this one.